astronauts to the moon.
10, 9, ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Roger, we got a roll from
Tower cleared.
Roger, roll.
What's up, shills? Back again with another video. This time I've got some interesting Apollo footage to show you. Also have some interesting ISS stuff to show you. And lastly, a website to send you to that has basically an analysis on all of the Apollo videos and the Apollo photos. So definitely something you should check out. If you're just getting into flat Earth, it's not a joke. At least I'm not joking. I don't know it all either. You might want to check out Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues. I think he has 11 videos. They're all pretty good. I don't agree with a lot of it. I don't think there's a dome because I haven't never seen one. But I do think the Earth is flat because I see it. And it's flat. And it's not a globe because it makes no sense and wouldn't work in real life. My goal is the truth. I'm not an astronomer. But I have eyes and a brain, which are obviously not a prerequisite to being an astronomer. So I don't want to be one. So if you've got something to say to me or you want to have a conversation about it, go ahead. But I will say if you're going to call me an idiot, please do so politely. Especially if you're some 25-year-old atheist that thinks you're cool. You're not. And atheism makes no sense. But I will also say neither does Christianity, neither does really being a theist. So that's not me. I think that the Bible is clearly written by man. That's obvious, I think, to anybody. I don't think Jesus died for my sins. I don't think Jesus was God. Those are just things I've come to on my own, in my own life, in my times. And you're welcome to believe whatever you want. And if you think the Earth is a globe, then you can go ahead and believe that all you want. And so what I'm trying to do is to show you some of the evidence that helped me to realize the deception going on, and hopefully will help you realize, starting with who's behind the whole thing. I'm sure you've heard a lot of talk recently about the globalists. Why are they called the globalists? Is it because they're perpetuating the global myth, the myth of the globe? Could be. Is it just lucky chance that the United Nations flag is the flat Earth map? The gigantic display they have behind their huge oak table in their conference room has the big flat Earth map right there for everyone to see. Coincidence? You tell me. So who is truly to blame for this biggest hoax in the history of the world? Easy. It is the U.S. government agency of NASA. Now, why a lot of people think that NASA would never lie, they're this great scientific entity, I have no idea. They are a U.S. government agency. And has the U.S. government lied to us before? Let's think. Gulf of Tonkin, Pearl Harbor, World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, 9/11, you name it, they've lied. So, NASA is the same exact thing. They are the liars. They are Nazis. If you don't know how NASA got started, take a look into Werner von Braun and where he came from. He was a Nazi SS soldier working for Hitler and using slave labor to build his rocket ships, and the United States brought him over during Operation Paperclip to basically head NASA. They are Freemasons. If you don't know that, search NASA Freemasons and you'll have days of studying ahead of you. They have stolen over $1 trillion. What do I mean by that? Well, they're using taxpayers' money to do nothing. They have taken $1 trillion since Apollo, and what have they done? They have their space station, and they say that they've invented Teflon and the microwave and freeze-dried food. That's about it. That's what we've gotten for $1 trillion, and that's a joke. Alright, so let's get into some of the evidence that I want to present that will show you where you actually truthfully live. This first image is from NASA. 2 pictures of the Earth came out at different times. You can go to their website, nasa.gov, find these images. If you notice, there is a slight difference in the picture on the left to the picture on the right, besides the fact that the water decided to turn a dark blue. The United States also, or the North American continent, also decided to shrink by about half the size, going from the left picture to the right picture. So these are composite images. NASA admits that. This is not something to be debated. It's simple. They don't have real pictures of the Earth. We've got a satellite that chases the sun, shows us the sun 24 hours a day, but we don't get one of the Earth. Why? Well, because they're liars, and the Earth is not the way they say it is. Simple. Next, take a look at flighttracker.com. You'll get a map. It'll show you every flight that's going right now, and you'll see on the northern hemisphere, see all those yellow planes out there? Those are all being tracked, even as they cross the ocean. But if you look in the southern hemisphere, you don't see one plane. That means that the planes are being tracked as they're on the land, and as soon as they get out over the water, they drop the tracking. The reason they do this is because on the flat Earth map, the southern hemisphere is actually much larger than it would be on the globe, and so they have to drop the flights from the tracking so that people don't ask any questions. Rather, just drop the tracking, and then we wonder why MH370 got lost. Because they dropped the tracking and have no idea where it was. This is something that needs to be fixed, and that we all can bring to an end quickly, I hope. Another reason that it is clearly obvious to me that the Earth is flat, and should be to anyone else who can just use their brain to think that a pan of water, let's say it's 10 feet long, will the surface of the water be flat? Of course. Water will always be flat. It can't have a curve in it, or else the water would spill down on the sides and become flat again. Yet, in this image that you're looking at now, the Earth is about, they say, 75% water. Well, it's also got this side of the globe, which is basically all water. So let's say that that's 10,000 miles across. Based on the 6 foot of curvature per 9 miles of distance, we can say that that's about 6,000 feet of curvature, meaning that there is a hump of water over a mile high in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and this water doesn't spill down on the sides. It's being sucked towards Earth but staying perfectly flat. Impossible. The world is flat. It is not a globe. Everybody makes fun of the flat earthers saying, oh, where do we fall off? How about you would fall off of a globe? If the Earth is flat, you don't fall off. If you're on a globe, you fall off. What are you talking about with a boat that's going? So do some boats go uphill and some boats go downhill? Or what? No, well, of course you were all explained as kids that, well, the globe works this way, and if you ask somebody, is somebody upside down? If I'm in North America and somebody's in Australia, are they upside down? Well, try to ask somebody that question. There is no answer to that, because they'll tell you no, well, they're not upside down, because to them it's their right side up, but to me they're upside down. So it's basically a bunch of crap, and it makes no sense, and you all believe it, and I used to believe it too, not because I actually ever thought about it, but simply because we were taught that as kids, and as kids we grow up thinking what? That whatever we're being taught is true. And am I the only one that realized as I got older that what they taught wasn't true? Am I the only one that realized that what they taught might have been for a certain agenda? I doubt it. When you start to realize that and start to rewind it and take a look at the things that they tell you and the reasons why they might have, it starts to make a little bit more sense, and we're not on a globe. So where do we live? Well, I'm glad you asked. You can take a look at this new standard map of the world. I put a link for it. It is a very gigantic file, 4,000 by 5,000 or something like that. I put a link down in the description, so get yourself a copy, check it out. It's got miles on it, it's got distances, and this is the map that was given in 1892 as the true map of the world for a practical sense and scientific sense. Alright, for some more proof, this little diagram here shows a NASA rocket taking off, and as we were all taught in school and as we all know, The shortest distance between 2 points is a line, but does NASA go straight up to get to space? Absolutely not. They do a rollover technique where the space shuttle rolls on its back, or the rocket rolls on its back, and it goes off to the right, and it doesn't even go up anymore. It starts going parallel with the Earth, probably just to get out of your field of view. However, somebody can try and tell me, why do we need to do this? I've never heard a satisfactory answer yet. Next, you see this image. This is taken from the space station, which is, let's say it's 150 miles high. Do you see the horizon in the background? It is completely flat, meaning that the horizon stays flat whether you're 10 feet, 50 feet, 35,000 feet, 127,000 feet, and faking your Red Bull jump like your Felix Baumgartner, or whether you're in the International Space Station. You'll see here the image that I realized when I used to watch the path that the ISS takes, and always kind of thought it was interesting. You'll see the white line there on the top, that it goes up through North America, down through Africa, around underneath Australia. Now let's look what happens if we change that to a flat Earth map. And you'll see there on the bottom, it is simply a circle. And that makes a little bit more sense than the wavy pattern that they claim they're taking. So next we have this vine that says the moon is setting behind the clouds. If you watch the Earth, which you can see at the bottom of the screen there, if the moon setting was from the Earth spinning, would you see that much moon movement from the tiny bit of Earth movement we see? You can see the Earth barely moves at all, and there goes the moon all the way down. Or does that look like the moon is rotating the Earth? You tell me. Next we will get into a kind of funny subject. This was a tweet, and it says, and the Oscar for spacewalk design and choreography goes to @Stingray and Buddy Brian, unsung heroes of our team. So that's strange. Next we'll be looking at Sam Cristoforetti. She's an Italian astronaut. You'll see here in her images on the space station, her hair is always acting as it would on Earth. In this image, she's laying down on her head. This next image, same thing. It's laying down, doesn't look like anything crazy is going on. But if you watch any of her videos, whenever she gets ready to go on some sort of interview, or she's speaking to some school kids so they can indoctrinate more lies into these kids, you'll see that her hair all of a sudden is sticking up all crazy so that she can talk about her hair and make jokes about her hair and how crazy it is in space, and she can spin the microphone and make everything look really cool. You'll also notice in this next tweet that this shows another astronaut cutting her hair in space, and you can see they're doing it with no cares in the world. Guess it doesn't matter to them that they're flying in a $150 billion machine that we paid for, that is 150 miles high, and their lives are all in grave danger if one of these little fragments of hair were to get into an electrical box and cause a shortage or something. But they don't care. They just are cutting hair and not worrying about it. If you don't know how much 150 billion is, because it's hard to understand what that number even means, I drew a little graph here. You'll see that first tiny little green square is $100,000, which is a ton of money. So 10 of those is $1 million. You see it's still very tiny. The next level is 10 of those, so that's 10 million. Now we're talking, big bucks. Most people, 95% of people, will never make $10 million in their lifetime. Then you see after that we've got 100 million, which is the 10 times the 10 million. Then we added 50 more million, and that equals 150 million, which sounds like a ton of money. Well, guess what? You've got to multiply that by 1,000 to get to 150 billion. That's how much they spent on the Space Center that just goes around and does tests on growing vegetables in space and making movies of them flipping the microphone and looking like jackasses. This next image is very important. If you look at it, it is a vine of them supposedly flying their little space station over the Earth. But if you look at the reflection in the back, and you may need to see this a couple times, they're very easily seen moving very quickly, meaning that the video is being fast forwarded. meaning that they're not going as fast as they claim. Basically, they're flying a plane at a high altitude and taking pictures of the Earth. And so that's what our $1 trillion has gone to, is them taking the same images that satellites take. Basically, a plane could take those images, and they tell you they're going 17,000 miles per hour, which sounds outrageous. You might believe it based on their videos until you see something like that that shows you that they're taking the video and simply pressing fast forward. And so to us it does look like they're moving quite quickly across the Earth's surface. In reality, they're just lying, kind of the moral of the story, and you should start seeing an ongoing trend here. On this next image, I simply wanted to show you how high they are and what the horizon looks like. So take a screenshot of this and finish out that circle and watch how large the Earth would be. It'll be larger than the room you're sitting in. On this image, just wanted to point out the GoPro cameras that they're using, the fisheye lens. You can see how even the solar panels on the ISS are curved, denoted there by the red lines. This image here is a Twitter photo. If you tell me, if anybody can help me out with this one, isn't the sun rising in the background there from behind the Earth? So how is the front of that piece so bright? What is lighting that up? Hopefully somebody's got an answer for that. So now we'll get into the fun stuff. Apollo, everybody's favorite. If you think that we landed on the moon, you're wrong. And it's so clear, and the fact that you're fighting it is sad. For evidence number one, my favorite video of all the Apollo videos, prepare yourselves for NASA's big science right here as we blast off from the moon. Now watch it. Yeah. That's real. Go, go, go. That is the biggest joke there is, being passed off as real footage. What, we had a panning camera on the moon showing that. Insane. Next is something really interesting. This is Apollo 11 onboard film. You're going to see it here in a second. It's going to go by very fast, and then I'll slow it down for you. Watch here. You'll see out the window something move real quickly, and you probably missed it, and it's going to be slowed down here in a second. And let's watch it again, and you can get this image. It's at nasa.gov. So I'm going to slow it down again. Watch right out there. Do you see something strange there? It certainly looks like a person is out in space messing with that antenna, didn't it? So check that out. Maybe rewind it and watch it again. Also put this on here. I think this is something a lot of people don't know. Or as soon as they picked up the Apollo 11 astronauts from the water and brought them back to the ship, where they were put into their quarantine. This is a video of the helicopter being lowered down underneath the ship, and here comes our three heroes / liars, and they are definitely, with their gas masks, they're very toxic. But wait, who's that guy in the orange? What is he doing? Where's his gas mask? Oh, no gloves. He's not going to go in there, is he? Oh, that seems a little bit strange. They were so toxic, in fact, that this guy in the green shirt here is spraying some sort of, who knows what. He's got a red canister and spraying a liquid disinfectant. So they were so toxic that now this entire staircase needs to be squirted down with this agent. And not only the staircase, but in a second here you'll see him go as far as to spray down the entire walkway that they just took towards the quarantine, where they stayed for 3 weeks. So now you don't need to take my word for it. Go ahead and look it up yourself. They were picked up out of the water, put inside the helicopter. We just saw the helicopter arrive in the boat. They came out in their gas masks, went straight into quarantine, where they stayed for 3 weeks. So from the time that they hit the ocean water after being dropped, or coming back into orbit, or back into the Earth's atmosphere, whatever you want to believe, They did not go anywhere else, so we're told. However, if you look at the screen now, this is a very peculiar image. It is actually a customs form signed by all 3 of the astronauts. See here, July 24th, 1969, arrival at Honolulu, Hawaii. So at first you're thinking, well, they were 200 miles off the shore of Honolulu. Weird that it says that. Notice it shows that they had to declare items that they brought back from the moon. You're thinking this could be a joke, but look, it says here, for official use only, Honolulu Airport, Honolulu, Hawaii, entered by Ernest, I don't remember his name, Marai. You can look it up. It's actually been proven that that is a legit article. Now, you'll have to do some research on that and decide for yourself. Did these gentlemen fly into Honolulu Airport, or were they coming back from space and dropped into the water? And if it is a joke, why would all 3 of them sign it with the date, and when did they sign it? And if they signed it 3 weeks after quarantine, then isn't that kind of illegal? It said official use only, and they're signing their names and dates that aren't true. And also, so is the customs agent out of Hawaii. And the way they found that paper is that it was on his wall when he died, his office wall. And they did send it to NASA, and NASA said that it was legit. So do some research on that. So last thing we'll look at is some analyzing of Apollo images. This is one that I found between an old image and a newer image. You'll notice, and I'm sure you've heard of the letter C controversy before. The picture on the right is the older picture. It's got the letter C on the rock. And if you look at the newer picture on the left, the C is gone. So these are the little things that let you know that NASA is lying. Plain and simple. There is no doubt about it. They hide things, they get rid of images, and basically don't tell the truth. So why would you ever believe anything they say, let alone what world you live on, comes directly from the horse's mouth? So head over to this site, aulis.com, AULIS.com. Basically, it is the entire Apollo image gallery analyzed and I think done very well. So check it out. I'm going to leave you with about 10 or 15 images so you can get an idea of what the site is like. And remember, as Aristotle said, a seeker of truth must doubt everything. And that's where it begins, and people are waking up and realizing that, as my grandpa used to say, NASA is as full of shit as a Christmas goose. See you later, guys.